Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel Parenting Made Conscious. My name is Mihaela. I am the founder. I am a teacher with 30 years of teaching experience, K through 12 and higher ed, and I am also an author and a certified parenting educator. Today, I want to talk to you about you and your teenager. So, if you are raising kids who are now in their teenage years or they are maybe approaching becoming a teenager, please pay attention. This is for you. I am also the mom of a teenager, so I'm not talking to you from books. I'm also speaking to you from my own personal experience as well as from what I've learned over the years in working with a lot of moms and dads of teenagers. So, today I want to talk to you about 3 things that you can do on a daily basis for you to be able to maintain a vigilant eye and a healthy relationship with your teenager. If you see me looking down, that's because I have some notes I prepared. So, I believe the most critical time for a teenager, a boy or a girl, is somewhere between the ages of 13 to 16 years old. This is a critical time in brain development. We know that the brain is rearranging itself during this years. Daniel Siegel calls this a brainstorm, right? Children are now pruning out, which means they are cutting and eliminating neural networks that they haven't been using in a long time because they're not young kids anymore, and they're rearranging how they position themselves in the world. In other words, for the first time in their lives, they're finally understand and they feel it perceptually, emotionally, at a body level. They know that they are not going to be dependent on their parents forever. As a matter of fact, there is a realization that the dependency period is approaching an end. So they are preparing to leave that behind, the dependency on their family of origin, mom and dad, so they can step out into the world in their independent, autonomous individuality that they are now becoming more and more attached to. So a lot of the books and empirical evidence that we know about teenagers is that they are constantly in defiance. They're always rejecting us. They're rejecting the school. They're rejecting the teachers. They're rejecting everybody because they are quote unquote defiant. But they're not defiant. They are in their seek and quest for answering the question of who am I now? Who am I in the world now that I know I'm leaving my family of origin behind, spiritually speaking, and from an attachment standpoint? And how am I going to handle all the challenges that life for sure is going to throw at me? So they're in that transition period of understanding, realizing, becoming very aware that they're leaving something behind and they're stepping into the unknown, into the world. So, depending on how we did in our parenting and how the parenting relationship was up to this point, right? All the way from birth till 12, 13 years old, now we see the fruits of our labor, and the child is either well equipped or only partially equipped, or maybe not equipped at all to step into the world, to be their individual self with a good, solid level of self image, self esteem, self confidence, self belief, positive in their capacity to be able to figure things out. So that's where we are with our teenagers during this 3 to 4 critical time years of critical time. So I would say towards the end of middle school and the beginning and second year of high school. So with that said, please understand that our work as parents is not over yet, right? It's a whole new chapter, and we need a whole new set of skills right now. So I'm going to talk about 3 things that I am personally paying more attention to so I can become better at as a parent moving forward. Number 1 is pay attention to subtle cues. What do I mean by that? A lot of parents of teenagers pretend unconsciously, it's an avoidance mechanism, that things are okay. In other words, if there is no big crisis on hand, if the teenager didn't crash a car or didn't come home drunk, or God forbid other situations, if there's no big crisis like that, then, well, boys will be boys, girls will be girls. It's just what a teenager does. And we kind of, or parents kind of, tend to avoid looking under the rug, and we just hope for the best. So my invitation and my message to all of us today is, let's pay attention to subtle, quiet, silent cues. What that means is subtle changes in behavior, subtle changes in moods, subtle changes in personality traits. Maybe your child used to be, up to this point, a very sociable, easygoing, friendly, making friends easily, volunteering for different activities. He or she didn't mind going with you places and helping out, and things like taking care of maybe younger siblings or pets, or helping with house chores. And all of a sudden, or progressively, you're noticing that your teenager is all of a sudden a lot more introverted type, more in their room. They're on their phone a lot more than before. Now, I know, I'm making a parenthesis, I know we all treat the smartphones as if the child was born with a smartphone in their hands, and God forbid we separate them from their phone because all their friends are in that phone. I know parents are tiptoeing around the smartphones, but that doesn't mean it's natural. It doesn't mean that it's healthy. And it doesn't mean that that's good for your teenager to be in their phone, to live a mental, imagined life that's in a network of people that he or she doesn't really meet in real time and in real life, and doesn't really have embodied exchanges. Okay, so I want all of us and all of you listening to pay more attention to subtle changes in your child's behavior, because your teenager is still a child. So that's part of this first point that I'm making. Pay attention to subtle changes and subtle cues and silent cues, because your teenager may look like a man, right? If they're big and tall and, physically well developed, or like a young woman, they may look like almost like an adult, but I promise you, they are still immature. They are still impressionable, and they still lack good judgment. They're still children. So we have to pay attention and not avoid the obvious. Okay. Number 2, ask questions. Don't be afraid of asking questions. And this is where I'm going to emphasize again the idea of us tiptoeing around the smartphone and our kids being online all day long, as if this is all of a sudden the normal, or normal childhood development, or normal social relationships are now online. It's not normal. It's not normal. It's not natural. And it's not healthy. So I know you all know by now, I'm guessing, if you're watching me on this channel, you probably either have heard Dr. Jonathan Haidt talk online about the anxious generation, or maybe you read his book, The Anxious Generation. If you haven't, please do. I'm re-listening to the book right now. Every time I drive in my car, that book is playing in my car, and all of you should read that book. Phone-based childhoods are unnatural and unhealthy. So our kids are paying a big price for growing up with smartphones instead of playing on the playground like my generation and your generation used to do. So again, number 2 was ask questions. Don't be afraid of provoking hard conversations. Ask questions. Well, who are you talking to online? Who are you talking to the most online? How often are you seeing this friend that you are online a lot with? How often do you see each other in real life? And when you see each other in person, for how long and how often, and what do you do, and how is that experience? Because our children are wiring their brains around a false impression of what a social relationship is. And that's how they will not be ready to face the world when they graduate high school. But this video is for you. So as parents, ask questions. Don't be afraid of provoking hard conversations, because pushing things under the rug, hoping that everything will be okay as soon as they turn 18, is not going to yield a good outcome, simply because the child doesn't have enough tools in their toolbox. And we're the ones giving them the tools. They can't come up with the tools on their own. Okay. And number 3, maybe the most important one, be the safety blanket for your teenager. What do I mean by that? Your teenager is going to mess up. They are going to do something that is going to shock you, scare you, put you on alarm. They will make you do radical things like unplugging all their devices, taking their phones away, being so radical in your consequences. And because I know your consequences are going to last maybe 3, 4, 5 days, a week at the most, and then everything goes back to normal. That's not what teenagers need. What they need from us is perception of us, their parents, that if and when they make a mistake, which they will, either online or offline, but most probably online on their devices, they have a safety blanket to fall on, that they will not be afraid to come home to you and say, Mom, Dad, I messed up. I don't know what to do, and I don't know how to get out of the mess that I created for myself. This can be a million things, right? I don't have to tell you what your teenagers are doing online. You already know. Maybe you don't want to admit that you know, but you know. If they're boys, you already know what they're doing online. If they're girls, you know. So they will mess up. And other people are going to leverage them messing up to manipulate them, to blackmail them, to put them in really, really, really vulnerable situations. And if they don't have the certainty that they can come to you when that happens, they have nowhere to go. So they'll go to a different group of peers, and they're going to ask help from the wrong people who are going to leverage, knowing that this boy or girl doesn't have a safety net. So they're very vulnerable. And to you, if there were a priority for you to have throughout this transition time with your teenager, that's the priority. That you do everything in your power as a parent, in your parenting work, to make sure that you protect this perception of safety blanket of your teenager, of you. Because if they feel alone in the world, if they fear you, or if they don't trust you enough to come with their issues to you, they're going to do it somewhere else with the wrong people, and that makes them double vulnerable. So with our teenagers, it's a matter of when, not if. When they get in trouble, small trouble, big trouble, we don't know, but they all have to kind of go through these experiences because it's part of transitioning. It's part of being different from their parents. It's part of experimenting. It's part of becoming a young adult. Our work is not to attempt to prevent all those falls and faults. Our work is to make sure that we protect their perception of us, that we are always here for them, that they can trust us enough to come to us to help them solve a mess that they created for themselves. So let me recap. Number one, if you are raising teenagers, or if your son or daughter is almost stepping into teenage years, around 12, 13, 14 years old, you want to, number one, pay attention to subtle cues. You want to pay attention to how much of their time has moved from in person to online. You would want always to keep that balance more into in-person social relationships versus online. So we want to pay attention to how they're changing as they're using their phones more and more. Number two, we want to ask questions. We want to poke gently. We want to be confident in ourselves, that we're not afraid of having hard conversations with our teenagers. Even if they push back and they're resistant, it's okay, because we trust ourselves that we can contain all of that. And number three, we are their safety blanket, and that's the most important perception that we want to nurture as they're growing older. And if we do these three things, I think our teenagers are going to be okay. What I recommend for you today is two things. If you haven't read The Anxious Generation of Dr. Jonathan Haidt, please do so. The book is in print, is on paper, it's on audiobooks. You can listen to the book while you drive. You'll finish it in a week. Absolutely a must read. And also, sign up for my newsletter, which is always free to all of you. And if you happen to co-parent your teenager with the other parent, please check out my latest and most brilliant course that I just put out. It's called Be the One Responsive Co-Parent. You'll see a link down below, also on my website, which is mihailaplugarashu.com. Under programs, go and check out Be the One. I meant that in Gandhi's metaphor, be the change you want to see in the world. So you want to be, you want your child to be healthy, present, connected, all of these good things, but the other parent is not in line with your parenting philosophy. You do that. You be the one consistently responsive parent. Don't worry about what the other parent is doing. You be the one in your timeshare that you have with your teenager, and that's going to be good enough. It's not ideal, but it's good enough. You can be the buffer between your teenager's development and all the other sources of stress that your teenager is under, particularly if you're co-parenting in a high conflict co-parenting situation. So Be the One, that's my latest course. It's on my website. I will also link the course here down below. It's an amazing short course only about 4.5 hours of video content. And it's a good intro in what happens when co-parenting is hard, it's high conflict, and what do you need to do so your child falls back on you, because you are the safety blanket. With that, I hope you're having a great rest of summer, if you still have summer break. If not, have an amazing beginning of new academic school year, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.